Don't say anything.
Good evening, everybody. This is Lethal Sales. Thank you all for being here. Tonight's topic is referrals. How do you get them? How do you earn them, as Larry says? And since that's Larry's line, I will let him start.
Sure. I just think it's so interesting how often our behavior doesn't reflect what we say we're going to do, and how we don't realize the importance of customers, right? I mean, everybody knows the GM and the owner really aren't paying you. They're the middle people handling the money. So I just think that there's a lot of really simple things you do to earn it. I think one of the things is to be expedient. Is if your customers have a problem, reach out to them quickly and solve it. Make sure you're accessible as much as you can possibly be. Because I think if we don't do these key things, if we don't make it clear you're important to me, you're dead. Because saying you're important doesn't mean anything. It's why I still run around with 3x5 cards so I can write people's names down and anything else. Because nobody likes it when they tell you they love you and they appreciate you, and then they call you the wrong name or forget your name altogether. So I think just paying attention and being expedient and making it clear that you're important to me. Because like I said, saying it and doing it often seem to be two different things. Peter, what are your thoughts? And then let's just roll around the room. Looks like we got a few new people like William Santos here. I'd love to hear from him.
Sure. So I guess right off the bat, I'm gonna concur with what you're saying. Actions speak louder than words. What we do as individuals in an industry reflects on how people see us. Maya Angelou always said it's not what you say, what you do, it's how you make me feel is what's going to be the memory. And that's how we build our referral base. We all know that referral is the highest conversion of all our clientele. And it repeats at over an 80% conversion rate. So looking at that, how do we actually involve our customers on not a daily, but not a weekly, but a true monthly repetitive notion that keeps you at top of mind for them without being intrusive into their lives? There are many ways, and we got to recognize that and recognize we're in the hospitality business selling a commodity. That's where we are. And I'd love to hear Russell's thoughts on this. I'd love to hear Jeff's thoughts on it, Brian's thoughts. We've all shared many calls on it. So it'd be great to hear from any of you, and please jump in.
I'll share an example. I'm up in Oklahoma City. I don't get on the road too much anymore. I like it. It's where I get my batteries charged because I'm in front of people. And so about once a month, sometimes, no, now it's probably once every other month. I'm up here in Oklahoma City right now. I have a bunch of clients up here and some potentially new clients as well. And this one Toyota store I stop in, this guy is like, this fixed ops director is just extremely hard to see. And there's many gatekeepers, but when I walk in, I walk straight to his office. I don't go through the gatekeepers. He sees me in his window. If he has somebody in there, if he's on the phone, if he's on the computer, he always motions for me to come in. Always. He never makes me wait. Never. He has not made me wait to date. And the last 6 times in this last year and a half that I stopped in, it's just a quick check-in. He knows I'm not there to waste his time, find out about family, kids, how's it going, support, etc. And that's it. I'm in and out, which is why he allows me to do that. I'm not there to eat his time up, okay? Because he's busy. Huge Toyota store. Well, I walked in yesterday, same thing. He brought up something, and the talking point was a little different. And there was enough deposits made that it was time to make a withdrawal. So I talked to him about some of our new stuff just to plant the seed. And he was all ears. We're gonna finish up at another time, but he loved to hear about it. It directly affects his business right now, and a company he's using that has dismal results. And I think it's all about relationships and repeat and referral. I have clients that have been around for 20 something years through 3 companies. And I always know that at December and January, and you all probably do as well, there seems to be a lot of changes personnel wise, right? The year's up and people move to different parts of the country in different positions or continue to excel and climb that ladder of success. And guess who they call? Moi. They call moi, because they know they're going to be taken care of. I'm not just a vendor. I'm a partner. But I also get personal with people. They know me. I know them. I know about their family and their kids. I visualize what's going on in their office and make comments about things that probably most people don't. And they want to tell you a story. Like you said, Peter, and I'm going to end with this. It's like there's many experiences I've had in my life, and we all have them. And I tell stories about them. And the stories tend to morph. Sometimes the places aren't even the right places, etc. But one thing that never changes is how it made me feel. Ever, never changes. Okay, I always remember that feeling. I don't remember necessarily all the ins and outs and circumstances, except how it made me feel. So, thank you very much.
Our pleasure. The one thing I'd love to comment on that, I love your actual line, enough deposits have been made, it's time for a withdrawal. And that is the true power of networking, where we're actually in networking to give, not to receive. The
That's
receiving will come. You just have to build the network.
But he also made it, 1 second, Jeff, please. He also made it clear that the guy was always happy to see him because he respected the guy's time. And it was always a pleasant experience. So many of these people, start you off negative. Am I bothering you? Is this a bad time? By coming in positive, it's easy to open it up. Go ahead, Jeff. I didn't mean it, but that perked my ears up.
Well, I totally agree with Russell too. It starts with a relationship. And if you don't have that, not a lot more matters, because, you're not going to just go in and say, hi, how's your kid doing on the ball field? I think loyalty has to be blended into that too. And how do we stay top of mind and not be invasive, right? It's kind of what Peter just said. And one way is with swag, and Mike Larkin and I talked long about this. It's okay to, and you should send an email or a thank you or a happy birthday, which unfortunately more often than not is just spit out by their CRM. But you to stay top of mind, put something tangible in their hands. Mike and I talked about, what about a little phone charger, right, with your logo on it, something that everybody can use every day, or a coffee cup like I got from SEMA, from B&G. And it's hard to do that and not be overbearing, I guess, but it starts with that relationship. And, I want to be the first guy people think of when somebody talks about phone systems or call tracking or, stuff that I'm engaged with. And, I've had the fortune to have built my business all on referrals. I haven't had to go out and market, and, and I continue to do that, and in part thanks to, my network here. But, I think that's part of it too. We're all rowing on the same oar on this show. And, if we can, we're much more powerful together than we are apart. And, if we can network internally with each other, and, Russell introduces me to somebody and he doesn't know me that well, but, and the same thing, you're halfway in, just don't mess it up. And you probably got a new client because they've already trusted you enough with the guy they trust, to say, hey, you should talk to this guy.
Man, that's half the battle right there. Thank you, Jeff.
I want to read this one quick thing from one of our network out there. A lady by the name of Christine Robertson. She's been in the business for quite some time, and this is what caught my eye for this exact show. She said it was a tire pressure warning light that popped up on a dash, and took a picture of it and said, "This light is an excellent opener for your sole customer follow-ups. Hi, Mary. With top temperatures dropping, I wanted to alert you. You may see the indicator for low tire pressure. Not to worry, it's this time of year. Next time you're by the dealership, please pop in. We'll reset it for you, and we'll check all your tire temperatures or pressures. By the way, I hope you've been enjoying the new car. And if you had any guests, anyone had to guess any of your family, friends, or coworkers that may need assistance, would you please refer me?" And story. Beautiful, short, to the point, and gave a value to the call. And that's where I say bring it top of mind. Not every salesperson can give away a keychain or a cup or everything every single time, but they can make valuable calls to make sure that they're remembered.
Hey, Peter, we got my buddy Ron Baus, who I'm going to be working with Saturday morning, nice and early, and William Santos. Ron, William, what do you think? We're talking about ways to get business, how to earn it, how to think of it the proper way. What do you think, Ron or William? Jump in, whoever is ready. There's Ron. Go ahead.
I think for me, it's community. I've gotten involved with, we're a small town, small dealer, but we've grown over the years. But I try to get, just kind of put myself out there, through organizations like we have Kiwanis. I'm president for the Greater Swedesboro Business Association, a couple other organizations, but I think just kind of putting yourself out there a little bit, that way, I think that helps. I actually had to kind of, I had no problem getting my cell phone number out, but but when you get in the smaller dealers and you get the people that want to, talk to the owner type thing, then I try to get involved with that kind of thing. It's not always fun, to be honest with you, but I've been in situations where they want to bite your head off to, next thing you know, they're sending their family, friends, and loving you, and whatever. And sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, just to be very transparent about it. But but sometimes it's I think if you can just push through those things. I think the other thing too, to be honest with you, is me personally, I want everybody to like me. That's not a realistic expectation in the world that we live in. So I just have to kind of ignore the naysayers and the haters and block that out. And I think that kind of helps, because I think if you let some of that stuff take space in your head, it affects, how you react. Sometimes when the dealership's gotten beat up a little bit with bad publicity, bad reviews, it's like, I don't even want to wear my Spirit shirt and go to a local anything, if I'm running in for something, like, because I just had such a day where you just got hammered. But that's part of what we do, and I just have to kind of just get past it and move on. And but those are some of the things that I think have worked and have paid well for us, for a little business, been around for over 30 years now. So
Ron, that's why we added not just get them, but to earn them, because I think everybody on the show will agree that every negative is an opportunity. When you take somebody and you let them get done screaming and hollering, it exhausts all his anger and frustration, and then you help them. You're right; these turn out to be the most loyal customers, because somewhere in the back of our mind, we can be a little cynical. We can expect people not to call us back or not to fix things, and when we do, it rewires their whole brain. They go, wow, this guy actually cares a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you this, that kind of to your point, Larry, we've done this a long time. And there was a time when, we kicked the customer to the curb, or we, whatever, we didn't, we just were this business, the way that it was set up was, it really wasn't customer friendly. And you and I talked about that, great length, where, what was it like in the, 80s and 90s, and even 2000s. And now you really just have to take a completely different look. I know training under my father was the best, best training I got, but, and he was very interesting to watch. But, there were times when, looking back where, sometimes you got to fire the customer, I guess the best way to describe it. Sometimes you just kind of reflect, well, I could tell you this, what I'm doing today, every bad survey I get, and I sit with the, sales reps or service, the first thing I get are the excuses and defense. And so then when I just let them talk, and then I'm just like, okay, how do we learn from this? What could we have done just a little bit differently to make this a little transition? There's things that are out of our control, whether we can't get parts, you can't get whatever it is, so let's get past all that. But, when the customers are like, well, we haven't been called, or I asked about this or that. And the absolute worst thing you can do is just, if you're going to say you're going to call somebody back and you don't, you're trying to find out an answer and you don't have one, and you ignore it. And all you do, because,
investors.
Yeah. And the other thing is, when you tell a client and you're signing them up, oh yeah, don't worry about it, we'll get you in 15 minutes. They expect to be in 15 minutes. And damn well you can't get them in for an hour. And everybody is so quick they don't want to upset anybody. So we subconsciously lie, or that lie's not, you understand what I'm saying?
No, it's a lie.
Well, you know what I mean? It's just, we're trying, when sometimes we're trying so hard to please, and there's just those realities that we have to, our transparency has come a long way, but we still have a long way more to go.
Hey, Ron, I obviously my dealership was Trenton, but I don't do business there a lot now. So let me ask a question. You said with bad surveys, is there now a lack of hitmen in Swedesboro? Because I think that's one way to make sure they don't do a second bad survey, right? I'm, just throwing out a good idea.
Yeah,
we won't do it again.
We thought about creating a naughty list and all this other stuff. But
so, Ron, I'd like to jump in on that. And as you said, we tell the customer 15 minutes to get them in. Is it a lie? No, I don't think it's a lie. I think it's a false truth, because what my wife has always said to me, there's possible and probable. Is it possible that I could become an astronaut? Yeah. Is it probable? No. Just like service. Is it possible to get you in 15 minutes? And if the planets align, yes. But is it probable it's going to happen? No. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. We have a inherent cause within ourselves to please everybody, and we don't recognize the detriments of not following through.
Couldn't it just be and we'll go to William Santos next if he wants to join in. Couldn't it, Peter, be more of a religious analogy? Because in the Bible, like a day would be like a week or a month, right? Where there are women have given birth when we're 80. So maybe all our service advisors and schedulers are just very religious. They have a broad concept of what a day is. That's all. That was mentally unstable to move the conversation along. William Santos, we appreciate you joining us. Do you have some comments on how to get, and more important, how to earn referrals, since it's obviously the lifeblood of what we do?
We might have a challenge with William. He's from Brazil.
Portuguese.
Really?
William, you're muted. If you unmute, at least come in and say hi.
He just
Okay.
said hi on
Yeah,
text.
He said
so,
hi in
so,
the
so I
chat.
think he's just on the listening process. So let's hear from Brian or Mike on this.
Hey guys, yeah, and I got to give kudos to my good friend Peter Smith. We had a great conversation today. My dad always used to say, whenever we were talking about something substantial, you got the easy part done talking about it, kid. Now what are you gonna do about it? So I always kind of the devil on the one shoulder and the angel on the other, but I hear his voice going, asking these questions. And one of the things that I heard this week was, hang where you're celebrated and not tolerated. And that brings me to the referral part. Is every new customer or client or partner or whatever you want to call it, every other, paying customer, I always reduce the price for the first, if it's my first encounter. What I mean by that is I go back to our beta prices and I put down in writing, if I do a good job and I do what I'm saying that I'm going to do, you and I agree that you'll provide me with 3 non-compete referrals. That keeps me in business and it keeps the goodwill going. It's just karma.
I love it, man.
So I put it inside that contract, but I want to specifically say and highlight it without glossing over the rest of the part. But if I say that I'm going to do something and I do it, fair's fair, I'm going to stay in business because I'm giving you this discount. Is that the law of reciprocity? And in my eyes, it is.
There's an awful lot to be gained by just asking for business. We all know salespeople that they do an unbelievable hood and trunk. They display the car. They just can't say, "Hey, do you want to spend your money with me?"
Yeah.
But what I used to love to say, you'll get a kick out of this, Russell, because it sounds like typical Larry Feldman mental instability, but it works. And say, "Hey, would you do me a favor?" Sure. If you know anybody half as nice as you, would you please send them in? Because it was just such a pleasure earning your business. And by the way, I know we're not about money, but there's $100 for you if they buy. And I used to love to say that to people that beat me up for 3 hours to throw in the floor mats or 8 cents on the payment. But again, it's common sense. Let's do what we say we're going to do. Let's be expedient to a problem or to make a deal. And let's just show them that we care. Russell, I told this story months ago, but it's pertinent. Then I'll shut up and we'll get to Brian Moates. I was at a dealership that I was training at in Virginia. Most of the people I had hired, the managers and me, are really friendly. It was a fun thing. I always try to have fun. And a guy did not want to be there. One guy, bad body English, he was glued to his iPhone, and he stood up and he said, quote, "If you're so effing smart, what do you say to the guy that says, why should I buy from you instead of the other Chrysler dealer?" And he pointed to the 2 managers in the room. He said, because they can't tell him. And we all know the drill, gentlemen, right? That the answer is usually, I'm a nice guy, so is the other guy. I'll give you 3 free oil changes. He'll give me 5. What's the next thing they do? They start dropping the price. Now, I'm on the spot. Russell, if I had my druthers, I'd never have a script. I love to be off the top of my head. Love it. I live for it. So long story short, I looked him in the eye and my warped brain said, tell him you're greedy. So the whole class laughs at me. I said, wait a minute, don't laugh. Let's flip it. You be the customer, I'll be the salesman. Okay. Why should I buy for you instead of you name the other Chrysler? I said, because I'm greedy. And he said, that sounds like bull. I said, does it? I bet you're just like me and you bought something from somebody. It didn't have to be a car. Could have been a chair or watch, a big screen TV. They were your best friend to get your money. And then when you had a problem, you couldn't find them. I hate that, don't you? And he nodded his head. He says, I do hate that. The guy wasn't greedy. All he wanted to do was sell you one. I want to sell everybody you ever met in your life a car. I'm going to be your personal concierge. That's why you want to buy from me. You always want to buy from people that are a little greedy in the sense that they'll keep you happy to get you more of their money. Listen, I am so blessed by the friendships. I met Jeff Scherer because his son needed a job and he heard of me, and his son went somewhere else, which was great. But Jeff's become best friends, and I know he feels the same way back. I mean, we're super tight, and he's recommended me to a guy that's got me 10 jobs. Mike Larkin's recommended. Russell Hill's already done it. If you're greedy in the sense, it's in my book, Inner Moron Demons. If you want to get rich, act like you're broke, and if you want to go broke, act like you're rich. You know?
Hey, just a side note, Larry, Ron sold me that book last night. You did.
But knowing Ron,
Ron did.
Wait. He probably pro-packed it He marked it up. He said it was a limited edition.
Bubble
And he's
wrap.
from Jersey. So he put spinner wheels on. When the car stops, the wheels are still spinning. You're busted, Ron.
It's all
Brian
good.
Moates, what do you think, my buddy? What's a good way to earn business and earn those referrals and the repeats? And by the way, let me just say this before my good and great friend speaks. How stupid do you have to be to not pursue repeat referral business? How stupid do you have to be to stare out the window praying somebody comes in to buy a car, as opposed to setting up your schedule, your life, and your finances? Brian, you're up, my buddy.
You're 100% right, but a lot of that's a mindset, right? And I don't know that we have. I think we have a leadership problem in this industry. People that think like you, that ultimately guide young sales folks to believe in the long term game. We bring salespeople in thinking they're going to get rich in the first 6 months, and the fact is it's a 2 to 3 year business. You're not going to really be getting those referrals and those loyal relationships until you're in the business for 2 or 3 years. You got to think like an insurance salesman, like a guy.
I have to interrupt you. I have to interrupt you. This is not bragging. This is pragmatism. Our dealership signed recourse with a local bank. So I'm talking about in the late 80s, Russell, a lot of the deals were $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. Because hey, if we're signing for you, if we're getting this deal done, we're making all the money in the world. So managers would quit manager jobs to work there as salespeople because they could make so much money. My first full month I was there, I blew everybody's doors off, and I won Salesman of the Month so long that they retired it because it was like, that's a joke. This guy wins all the time. Now follow me. What propelled me? I certainly didn't know enough about the car business. I hadn't really been in a sales job before. I was hungry. I acted like every deal was a pleasure. Jeff, Mike, all the guys that have recommended me to people. How long did it take me to call them? 8 seconds? So that's got to be the mindset. Man, of course I will. Again, if that's your mindset, people see it. I say it all the time. We all go home to somebody. I mean, unless you're living alone and you have a rotten day and somebody says to you, what's wrong? Don't we usually say nothing? Well, how do they know there's something wrong? Is there a neon sign over our Jeff's horrible day? No, it's all over our face. So people can see when we're not happy. Customers can see it. They can sense the vibe that we're putting out. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Brian. By the way, we're going to turn this into a telethon, and everybody contribute so we can pay Brian Moates' electric bill. Very sad.
Sitting in my car waiting to pick up my son from Bible study. But I mean, it's just that's
Bible study. Listen, just tune him up. Tell him Ecclesiastes, whatever thy hand shall find, do it with all thy might. Don't show up unless you're serious and you give it your best. Hey, that was pretty good, Russell. Pass the collection plate and don't take any checks. We're in the car business. We want cash.
You know, the other part, Larry, with referrals, you still got to earn it. You know, some people just think it's a slam dunk and they might shortcut the experience for that person that was referred. You still got to earn it, man. You got to do the same amount of work. You know, granted, you got a head start.
Yeah,
right?
But Jeff, again, look, I don't mean to sound nasty. I love people. I'm aware of how stupid most of the world is. It's just a fact. But if you think about it, think about the cycle you start when you ask for repeat referral business. I sell Jeff a car. I tell him my speech. He goes to his neighbor. His neighbor comes in. I work even harder for his neighbor than I did for Jeff. I send Jeff the 100. He's happy. Then the neighbor calls Jeff and say, you're right about that Feldman guy. He's a little crazy. Boy, did he take good care of me. Now Jeff feels like a hero. Again, why do people get up in the morning? If you're going to work, don't you want to sell as many cars as you can, have as much fun as you can, make as much money as you can? I love to quote Thoreau, particularly since our schools don't teach him anymore. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Russell, can you even imagine, crazy as we are, going to work every day and hating what you're doing and despairing? It's great to get up in the morning and say, this is going to be great, man. This is going to be fun. Can't wait to meet people and make a couple bucks and have some fun. So sure, Jeff, you're 100% right. But it goes to the short-sightedness of the managers training these guys and the salespeople themselves. These are your customers. I got a line. They're not annoyances. They're annuities. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jeff.
Well, and hopefully
hold on. Let me take that back. I did mean to interrupt you. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But let's go back to Brian for a second. Let him finish finish his statement.
Well, I was
Because-
going to, but Jeff Scherer jumped in. It's just so tough with a guy that interrupts all the time. Go ahead, Brian. I'll try to keep Jeff muted.
No, I mean, all I would do is reiterate what you're saying. I mean, it's just we have a leadership problem, a mindset problem. We have an expectation.
Brian, you are aware that the Bible says, "Let there be light," right? I'm just trying to tie this in so we keep Russell's action. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Trying to turn on the lights, but I'm in a car and I've only got one. See, a little bit more, but I paid a little.
He starts talking EVs. I'm muting him permanently. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I mean, it's just that's what we have to really continue is we need leadership development. Like we have to start teaching these leaders not to be managers, because you manage a process, you don't manage people. You manage a process, you lead people. And a lot of these managers just think they manage everybody, manage everything, and manage a process. And the fact is they don't, because they're not leading, and they're not teaching these mindsets you're talking about, like of how to actually develop a relationship and how to be long-term thinking. Well, still obviously delivering for the short term. You still have to be thinking about when are these leases going to be up? When are they going to be buying a new car? What other cars do they have in their garage? What do their neighbors have? Like, you have to be thinking that way. But we don't teach them how. We're not leading young salespeople how to think like that. We're just not. And that's where a lot of the issue stems is leadership development and leadership training inside these dealerships. And it's a mindset. You think back about where we started. Henry Ford had it right 100 plus years ago when he started the franchise model system, because he said the best people to sell people are people that are in their own communities, that know them, are in relationship with them, in community with them, and they had it right. Now we've got a massive consolidation. Most dealerships are high volume dealers. They're in metropolitan areas. It's all about the volume. It's less about the relationships. It's more about the transaction. And we're obviously seeing a little bit of a shift, at least the conversation's happening, that we have to get out of that transactional high volume mindset. But saying it and doing it are two very different things.
Keep in mind, Henry Ford shook up the world not only by his production plans, but he raised the wages of his people. And many other business leaders said, "Why the hell would you do that?" He says, "Because I want people to be able to afford the product we're building." That was the good stuff. The bad stuff was, his line was, they can have any color they want as long as it's black, and he was an anti-Semite. And being Jewish, I'm a little sensitive about anything anti-Semitic. But keep going.
No, you're 100% right. But, and GM was in the same boat. I mean, you look at the different model for, you look at almost 18,000, whatever number you're counting today, almost 18,000 OEM dealers. 10,000 of them, 65%, are Ford and GM brands. Right?
Yeah.
They've been around for 100 plus years. They're over dealered. They're all competing against each other. A Ford dealer doesn't care what anybody else is doing. A Ford dealer only cares about what the other Ford dealer 30 minutes up the road is doing. And in the absence of value, all that's left is price, because all we're trying to do, that's why they have race to the bottom. A Ford dealer
Brian, I think you're wrong. I think the only thing a Ford dealer cares about is how he can give his wife a lightning demo and still figure out a way to write it down.
And then there's that. But I mean, it's just that we've got some systemic problems that have been created through consolidation, through over dealered, and it's driven a transactional short-sighted mindset that we've got to get out of. And like I said, we got to really figure out how to get into leadership development and how to really start thinking about, how do we, when we talk about consumer experience, but how do we really change the systems inside of dealerships to deliver a consumer experience? And the right conversations are being had, but we just have to start putting some systems in place to actually.
I gotta say this. So managers, the way I view managers, they light a fire underneath people. Leaders light a fire inside of people.
Agreed. So
100%.
Back to what Brian was saying is the challenge with management versus leadership and teaching the mindset, because we can teach the mindset to our individuals that are coming on board. One of the most important things, in my humble opinion, is the ability to actively listen and have critical thinking afterwards. If we can do that, we can envelop many different avenues that is going to reroute us to the sale. Now, Russell will agree with this one. The $1 million doubling the penny.
31 days.
Yes. And what that mindset develops. And it's the repetitious nature of the doubling of a penny that far exceeds the $1 million. In our business, I developed a sales platform to take a 10 car a month person using repeat business and referral business only to a 45 car a month salesperson, regardless of area, demographic, anything, brand. If they just use that process, they will be guaranteed in 4 years' time to be 45 cars a month. All they have to do is use repeat and referral business. It is a simplistic math equation.
But Peter,
It's
you
not
need
hard.
you need people that are thinking 4 years ahead.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. You have to look at this as a long-term customer value proposition. This one and done transactional nature of the business that we've allowed to happen with technology. Technology has brought the one and done, and it's killed the relationship sale. And we have to revert it back using technology to bring the relationship sale back. We have the capabilities. And that's where, if we use it properly, technology can be, as we look at it, people, process, technology. That's the way it should be invoked. That's the way it should be actioned. And that's the way we're going to grab growth within our business. And if we use the technology to bring it in, we can develop that long-term customer value. And as you all know, I'm writing a series about the high cost of turnover within the dealership business and what each department looks at as costs that are hidden from the statement. And we have to recognize that, because if we use that investment, we use that investment for guys like Larry, we use that investment for guys like Jeff, we use that investment for guys like Zach and Brian, we can actually develop our businesses that much greater, that faster, and we can take them to new levels. And we're just avoiding areas of fear because we do not have the courage to address them.
Exactly.
I would say it's a lack of belief. We have a lack of belief that we can actually do these things. We have a lack of belief in leadership that we can create long-term thinking, that if we actually build careers, that if you do the right things, if you trust the process, if you put in the work, that it's gonna pay off. If you sit in the seat long enough and do the right things long enough, that you're gonna get that repeat and referral business, and your grosses are gonna increase and your volume's gonna increase. But
it's a fatalistic approach, Brian. Not what you're saying, the opposite. There's so much negativity that exists all around us, and so many people that going into it are already expecting it to fail or not to come to fruition, that we need to kind of turn that thought process around and make them realize how every negative is an unbelievable opportunity. When you're done, Brian, I'd like to hear from your partner in crime, Zach.
Hey, turn it loose. I mean, like I said, I love the conversation. It's been a great conversation. I agree with everything that's been said, but take it away, Zach.
Zach, he's been sitting in the dark. Don't you have like company flashlights with your promo on or something? Come on.
Not yet. We're getting there, Larry. We're moving our way there with lights.
Well, Larkin will hook you up. He's great with these products.
I love it. Love it. Yes.
You got it, man.
Sorry, it's coming in a little late. It sounds like, I mean, I'm
Hey, wait a minute. I just had a thought, Zach. Does everybody feel the way I feel? Mike Larkin is wasting it. Yet Russell said earlier, I'm wasting my time in the car business because I should be doing my music, which I tend to agree with. I think Mike Larkin is wasting his time. He should be a TV weatherman. He's just the happiest son of a gun I've ever met. Yes, 12 people were dead, but the weather was nice at the zoo today. It's just a thought, Mike. I never saw you not smile. Go ahead, Zach.
It's with a coat hanger in my mouth, ear to ear, baby.
It's storming
You
and gray
don't
outside.
have,
It's better
you
for
don't
me,
have
but
to
it's
be
still
mentally
great.
unstable to be on this show, but it certainly helps. Go ahead, Zach.
No, I love it. I love it. No, I gotta concur with you, Larry. By the way, Mike, I'm just saying, shitty as it is outside, still a beautiful day internally, right? And so, come on. No, I'll just kind of go off, I guess, a little bit of what I'm picking up on. And I think really just also, I don't know everything that Brian shared, but typically him and I are definitely really strongly in line. And Peter, by the way, I really appreciate the article you put out and just spotlighting us. So I want to make sure that I do. Again, thank you for that. But the structure, I think with everything that we talk about with what needs to change and what needs to be, approaching it. I think in a lot of cases they don't want to say what they don't know, right? And I think that's been probably one of the most challenging things when it comes into we're in an industry with egos driving a significant part of everything that we do, and I think that it's to not looking at it as like general managers or managers looking down of like it's their fault. It's the fact that like this is what we have been shown, this is what we've been taught, and like this is something that's been instilled in, as what Brian even said, a belief system. And so one of the biggest challenges, I think, is the structure of how do you really truly drive change? Where do you start? How do we create plans, like action plans? And how do we really like assign those to the team members? How do we get people involved? And how do we begin the conversation? Like, what do we say? Like, what do we ask? Like, I know that it may seem super basic, but I think that truly is probably the biggest hurdle into driving change is to creating structure, into actually creating change where it's not like we feel, because the business is busy, right? And when you have a plan, just plan for that plan to be just completely derailed. And so how do we create structure around change and progress without it derailing or being detriment to our business? And I think that's what's been always the challenging thing. It hasn't been figured out. And so structure is what they've never had to create, I think. And that's why I think change doesn't happen is in anywhere near as fast as what anybody wants it to. And so,
Jack, how about having a meeting when you ask the people, why are we here every day? We're here to sell cars and make money. And the more we treat our people well, the more they want to come. The more before you came on, Russell said he deals with a guy, a big Toyota store, and the guy's always glad to see him. He's very smart with his time, Russell. He doesn't waste it. He doesn't go on too long. And the guy likes him. I get away with a lot of stuff, Zach, get in past a lot of inner sanctums. I swear to you, they say, Feldman's like, tell us a joke, Feldman, make it a good one. Happens all the time. So
Yeah,
the point is to find a way to get past these guard dogs is to be nice, to be thoughtful. I think earlier, Russell or somebody said active listening. I ask it in every class. I ask it of managers when they're hiring. Right? You've all heard me say it 10 times. I'm sorry if I'm boring you. What do you say to the guy that says on a Saturday, beautiful weather, don't start your sales pitch. I only have 10 minutes. I got to go watch my son play ball. It ain't what I can do it in 10 minutes is what does your son play? We're listening. We're starting a conversation and we're taking it out of the realm of I'm a greedy pirate that's going to rip your wallet out of your back pocket.
Ron's got a question. So let's jump to Ron.
Just real quick, not even a question, just something I think kind of ties into a lot of this. Like, and we see this happen. Well, it's been happening for decades. When you're trained, you have somebody you're training, like you're talking about the referrals and things of all that. I truly believe in that. But I also see where, especially with sales reps, where they get, there's a process they follow, whatever it is they've learned, so on and so forth, and then it's a very mental business sometimes because you could have a customer that wants total control, whatever it is, it seems like the point that I'm making is there's a lot of things that as these guys get built up, they have to figure out a way to disconnect from what they've learned because it seems like, they've learned and they get built up and then all of a sudden it's like a stumbling block. It's like that game Jenga. They're up, and then all of a sudden something happens. Whether it's a sale that went sideways or management, I don't know, anything. And I've seen where these guys, it's like you get them on the path, and then all of a sudden, you see like a 20 car, 30 car guy, and then all of a sudden they get back to like 10 or 15. Like they always end up like something. They get built up and then they come back, and I think what we're trying to figure out is like how do you get this guy from not like, as you're raising them up to silence the BS, to not listen to all the naysay, the negative, everything around, and to keep going through it. And that seems to be the challenge where you have so many guys that are just mediocre or they're good people, but they stay at a mediocre performance when they have potential. Does that
Okay,
make sense what I'm saying? I guess is that
yeah. So I'll address that, and I'll address it in my opinion, and it might not be of the others on the panel here. The easiest way to explain that is we confuse training with coaching. And if we turn around and we believe that training, that we can train them to understand every single scenario, but we're not leading them through those scenarios with coaching. It's a statistical fact that training will lift the performance of a team by 23%. If you add a coaching element to it, it'll raise them to an 88% lift, because the coaching element is a non-invasive personality benefit to them, and they will understand how to deal with different personalities. It goes back to, and I bring it back to hockey because a lot of people know I'm Canadian. Well, very famous hockey player would go to the rink and he would shoot the puck at the boards from every single angle at every single spot on the boards to understand where the puck would come off of, so he'd know where to go. That player, Wayne Gretzky, he was the best player on the ice, and he's also the probably the most quoted hockey player by saying you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So as you recognize that, if you know how to go through the process with the training and develop that into the coaching style and understand how to build your team up with, and I have always said, bring in any revenue generating person in a dealership should have a business plan, an individual business plan. In that individual business plan, they should also have budgets, targets, and goals. Budgets is what they're required to do. Targets are their own personal uplift, and put a goal in there that is going to be a carrot that the dealership is going to actually celebrate if they reach it. And you allow your leadership, not your managers, your leadership, because I don't like the term managers because it doesn't work anymore. You bring your leadership to help them achieve those targets and goals, and you celebrate it.
Yeah, but Peter, the leadership that you call leadership, they suck.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. They do.
Hey, let me.
No, hold on, Larry. I got to say something.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to say the greatest predictor of future behavior is previous behavior. And I agree with what you said, Peter. I think understanding the person's why is really important. I believe successful people do daily what average people do occasionally, but it's all about the why. So people ask me, Russell, with where you came from, what happened? When did the light come on, etc. And I tell people, look, there's so much procrastination in this business. It's not even funny. People talk, and they don't do. So I'm going to tell them, look, if you want a different tomorrow, you can't wait till tomorrow. You got to get outside your comfort zone. There's only 3 things that'll dictate a different tomorrow. That's it. 3 things. Well, what are those 3 things? Well, you read what you listen to, who you associate with. What do you mean by that? Well, you're a sum total of everything you've ever seen, heard, read, and done up until this moment. And if you don't input something new, you're going to get the same shit you got tomorrow and next month unless you actively do those 3 things. The people that inspire and motivate you and educate you. But most of all, the people that I talk to, I can tell quickly when talking to them if they start blaming other people or their circumstances for their lot in life and it's not their fault and poor and pitiful me. Those are people that have not figured it out. And regardless of what I've ever tried to do to instill and motivate, inspire and educate and get them moving forward, they just don't listen, do they, Peter? Do they listen, Larry, Mike? Guys, did they listen?
Nope.
They don't.
Hey, Russell,
No.
what I was going to say to take another
variant.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
What Ron? No, it was great. What Ron Baus said. I'm going to jump away from hockey and go to basketball. The dominant basketball player at UCLA before Walton got there was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was known as Lou Alcindor. You couldn't play as a freshman. He played as a sophomore, junior, and senior, and they won 3 straight championships. Crazy long winning streaks. They were incredible. And when Walton got there, he said to Coach Wooden, I would really like to be just like Lou Essinder. He's my hero. I said, no problem, Bill. And he was like LeBron James. He was the most scouted schoolboy in the country. So, okay. He says, all right, sit down. I want to show you how to pull your socks up so you don't get blisters. He thought Wooden was kidding. He says, Bill, you don't understand. I don't care who you are. Around here, we start with the fundamentals. The reason Ron guys drop is they stopped doing the things that made them successful.
That's right.
I don't need to take a demo. I don't need to walk through service. I don't need to ask them about their family. It always comes down to that.
Larry,
yeah.
have you ever seen a skyscraper built from the 100th floor down? Never. It can't happen.
Could we ask Russell Hill that? Because I've seen his glasses, and he's obviously into reverse engineering.
So you cannot build a skyscraper from the 100th floor down. You have to start out with the foundation.
Well, there's your hold on. There's your problem, because we're all of an age, even a young guy like McVicker, that we understand how important the foundation is. But a lot of people younger than us, they not only don't they grasp it, they resent us for implying that the stronger you build foundation, the stronger the top floors will be. You're 100% right, Peter.
In that. So when we look at that, and we all, and I hate saying this, Ron, but we all tend to attack the stakeholder in the matter because we see things in a different manner, and it's because we are typically specialists in our own individual field, whereas the stakeholder has to be knowledgeable in 100 different fields. And there's no way you can be an expert in each one of them. So when we bring solutions, it's a difficult proposition for any one individual to understand at some times, and that's fair, and that's understandable. But we got to turn around and understand now, as Stephen Greenfield wrote in his book Modern Retailing, that this car business is going to change more in the next 5 years from 2020 than it has in the last 100.
That's right.
It's going to, the accelerated opportunities and growth due to technology, AI and everything else, will cause massive challenges to this industry. And if we're not ready for it, we are going to be gone. And that's through consolidation. That's like, you look at groups like Koons. Who would ever think Koons was up for sale? Like, it was a landmark deal. There's who would think Al Hendrickson's Toyota dealership was up for sale? It was number 2 in the country. Or how about this one? Nick Sabian just bought 2 Mercedes dealerships in Florida for $700 million. $700 million. Like, this business is going to change rapidly, and we have to be intelligent that we understand we're not ignorant to the change. And if we can encapsulate that, we can bring positivity to the dealership. You all know, most of you know that I was involved in a car accident when I was 16. I almost died. Every single day, I'm positive for being on this side of the dirt. Every single day.
Right on, Peter.
And with that, I look to motivate anybody that ever comes across my path, whether it's paid or unpaid. I'm going to give them the motivation that is going to better their business. And that comes from a janitor to a stakeholder. I don't care who you are, I'm going to help. And I'm going to give you the aspects that are going to improve your life in your own situation. We don't want anyone to have a job. Job is just over broke. We want people to have careers. And
hey, by the way, Peter, you introduced a great opportunity. Whoever is into the mystery shopping, we need to go into Nick Saban's Mercedes store wearing a Clemson t-shirt and see how well we're treated.
Georgia Bulldogs.
Uh,
He hates Georgia, so we'll go with Bulldogs. But
Roll Tide.
in that whole thing, you're right. Mystery shop. Mystery shop is one of the best things any dealership can do. How many dealerships do it? I did a mystery shop at a Toyota dealership. I have 118 points on my mystery shop. The Toyota dealership gave me their best sales rep, and he passed 2 points. And I was softballing questions to him to get the numbers up because I felt bad. And we've accepted laziness based on the last 2 years of prosperity. So it is absolutely got to change, because as the UAW strike has happened, as inventory is coming online, and I can see the Stellantis emblems on your shirt, Ron. You know that your inventory is creeping up, and the floor plan is crushing you. How do we get out of it prosperously, and with profitability, but also continue with the customer experience, that we can have the referral business moving down the pipeline so we can continue in growth? That's
No, I just wanted to say that I think part of the point, that I was what I was trying to make is that, this is where we are. And it seems to be cyclical, historical. When like I said, we're with the sales and whatnot. Like I can tell you, like I hear everything you're saying, and every day I'm faced with a new challenge, new venture, or whatever it may be, and it just from an owner perspective and standpoint, sometimes it's hard to you're trying to get everybody to follow to follow the protocol and this, that, like I had to change a long time ago how we viewed a bad review, how we viewed a hostile customer, things like that, and it's just, but it seems to be, that the challenge, this is more like a kind of like a statement, is just, it seems to be like there's this like a combination of either complacency or fear that somebody doesn't want to make a mistake, or all these different things. And it's like you're trying to, it's like we're I don't know. So I just feel like some days, we were just rowing upstream. We're not, not flowing together.
And it should never be that way. It should never be that way. I got into the business because, like most, it was an opportunity. It was that I could, and it was something that I enjoyed. I love the car business. I got back into the car business after coming out of retirement because of a situation buying a Jeep, and it is there purposefully that I want to instill change. And absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Mike brought this up today. We don't respond to reviews for the person who wrote the review. We responded to the people who read the reviews. We have to understand what is a reflection of what we do is a reflection of where we're going. And every person at a dealership, and most people go because it's the last resort to work for the car industry, not their first choice. And we got to develop the mindset that the first choice is the car business. 1 in 5 people are employed indirectly or directly by the car business. We have to make people understand it's the greatest business in the world. It is a business that not a single day goes by that it's the same business. It's always changing. It's ever evolving. It's fantastic. It is absolutely one of the greatest opportunities for growth in mindset. I took 20 years of the car business and developed a a consulting firm that was extremely successful, only to go back into the car business because my wife didn't want me to travel anymore, and loved every minute about going back into it, and grew the 2 dealerships I worked with. Then I retired, and then I got back into it again. It's the world's greatest addiction is the car business, and I love every minute of it. I know everyone on this panel does as well, because they wouldn't be in it if they didn't. So
Larkin doesn't love it because now he figures his true career is weatherman on TV.
Every time they try and get out, they draw me back in.
Yeah, it's Pacino and Godfather 3. Hey, we're over our time. What a great panel. Can't thank you guys enough. Does anybody have any final thought or anything? Because man, it was so great to see all of you and hear your input. And we might get Mr. Santos back next week so he can actually speak and listen and do everything he's doing other than just observing. Anybody else got anything?
I hope Ron comes back. I mean, it's great to have not only your ear, but your perspective from a different point of view.
Yeah.
As far as a vendor partner, whatever you want to call me.
You want the bad news, Larkin?
Yeah.
I'm going to his dealership Saturday.
I heard.
He'll never be back. I'll probably be banned from Swedesboro.
So I just want to say this, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it. Honestly, in my position, sometimes I don't want to sound like I'm whining or venting whining or complaining, kind of venting a little bit. I see it. I understand it. And it gets frustrating. Quite frankly, I'm also not, I'm not afraid to reach out. Larry and I, we met through his recruiting and we became friends. And it's just funny how in this business, it's such an emotional roller coaster. No matter what you do, there's highs that are so high and lows that'll bury you. But it's funny. Just Larry and I will kind of pick up wherever we leave off, and and just I want to leave with this. I read his book, and it was a very easy read. There's so much information, so many things you can read, so many you can listen to. It's almost to the point where your brain just overloads. And so my point was that I indirectly was kind of reaching out for help, and not so much for me, but I want all my guys to see, just a different perspective, somebody fresh coming in, and I made it, and like I said, I legit, I went on Amazon, I bought 10 books. I said, I'm telling you guys, you need to read this, because, I always remind them, if we're doing so well and I got 300 cars a month out, I don't need to have these conversations, but we got 50 and, 50 don't pay the bills. We need 100. That's where we need to be. Yeah. And so, it's just refreshing and encouraging and all in the same, thing as well too. Cause like I said, this is one of those, one of those times where, listen, man, it's a roller coaster and it is clicked to the top and it is ready to drop. Right. Know it. We all know it. Nobody wants to say it. Whatever. We want to be positive, rah, boom, whatever. But our reality is we've got some challenges ahead of us. I could tell you, I, for one, has taken a personal, I changed my path a little bit, working on fixed ops with service department, because that is going to be the future. If I've learned anything, in 2009, when everything went to shit, okay, people were spending thousands of dollars on their cars, and I got to tell you, I was dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff, but not thinking about it. But man, they were spending money on their cars because they couldn't afford it. Well, here we are, and it's amazing how history repeats itself. I'd highly doubt we'll ever see a COVID again, but who knows? You never know. But I can tell you this: I'm getting, what I'm bracing for, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose what I have. That's the bottom line. That's where I'm at. I at least have that mindset. But like I said, talking to guys like on the panel here and just meeting everybody, it's refreshing. Sitting here as I'm talking to you, I'm ordering cars and I'm doing all this.
Your perspective is refreshing, like Mike said.
Absolutely, and I'll concur with that. To have a stakeholder actually come on the panel and say, we got here because of how we did it, and not be closed-minded, and be closed-minded to that fact, is refreshing to see someone come on this panel and say, hey, I'm a stakeholder. I'll listen to everything that you're saying because I see what's going to happen in the future. And the best part of anything is someone asking for help. And that shows a depth of character rather than a massive ego. And we all see ego in the car business because 90% of car dealerships have a person's name on the side of the building. And if it wasn't about ego, they wouldn't have their name out there. The thing that I'd like to say is you are absolutely 100% correct. In the fixed op side, Russell is a master on that side. You should reach out to him. And the other thing is that we are all in it together, and we'd love to be of assistance at any time moving forward.
Indeed.
So please reach out to any one of us, and we'll give you our honest opinions, and you can take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron. And
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Peter.
Okay, it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, there too.
Thank you all.
Well,
Good night,
thank
everybody.
you all.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure tonight. Take care.
It was great.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.